Welcome back to the Upbeat, answering questions you have but don't know who to ask. Each week, a new episode will cover a topic that you want to hear about. Real talk with real people. Hopefully, I can help just one person out there find what they need right now. This week's topic is college reopenings. As states begin to loosen their restrictions and enter the early stages of reopening, many college students are still in limbo, torn between the reality of the situation and their visions of what was to be. It's still too early to tell if our flattening of the curve and new methods of prevention are going to be effective enough to keep us safe when we return to campus. But this hasn't stopped a number of schools from outlining plans for reopening. To help better illustrate exactly what that means and talk a bit about Emerson College's methods in developing a plan, here is Emerson College President Lee Pelton. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Pelton, President Pelton.
Thank you.
I just kind of wanted to open it up a little bit and see what exactly have you been up to? What have you been doing to stay safe? Where have you kind of been hunkering down? What have you been up to recently?
Well, I've been in Boston, and I've been mostly in this room here, really nonstop, 7 days a week, from probably March 15th. So it's been, more than 3 months. And my schedule is get up early in the morning. I have a series of Zoom calls that will end at 6 o'clock or so in the evening. On Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, I'm in front of the computer, but not Zoom, just getting other work done. Mostly planning for the fall term, dealing with a lot of issues related to reopening in the fall term. I have a number of Boston civic commitments, and so I've been involved in those as well. So everything is just sort of like one long day. And at the end of the week, and you look back and you try to reconstruct what you did on Tuesday. Well, it's hard to do it because Tuesday's indistinguishable from Wednesday, and Wednesday is indistinguishable from Thursday. So it's a really curious life.
And along those same lines, especially for Emerson students and for Emerson community members, going in and out of doors is our lives. We're running from building to building. That's kind of our thing. Along that same line, how has that affected you as a college president? Not being able to see those students. I know you've expressed in the past that you kind of missed the hustle and bustle of us being around. But what else has this kind of done to you as a college president?
Well, it's, I lose some of the sense of the texture of the place because students aren't here, faculty aren't here. And so it's a very isolating experience.
Well, if you could sum up kind of the goals or one major goal of the reopening for our campus, what would you kind of say that is?
To make sure that when students, faculty, and staff return to campus, that it's a safe and healthy place to be. It's clear to all of us now that we're going to be living in this COVID environment for a very long time until a vaccine is developed, produced, and administered to 30 million Americans. And that's not anytime soon. But in the meantime, we're all going to have to, and we're all in the process of adapting to the reopening of human society, if I could call it that, and reopening the economy and businesses. However, adaptability is in our biological evolutionary structure, and I'm confident that we will, as individuals and as people, adapt to this new normal, which we're going to be living in for quite a while.
Speaking of that new normal, Safety is obviously the biggest concern for most parents that are going to be sending their kids back to school. At Boston, it has had very low numbers the last few weeks. They've been doing really great on projections. But as we see students kind of return to Boston, we're going to probably see a pretty large surge in cases. I guess the question that a lot of Emerson students have, and a lot of students, I guess, across the board in all the Boston schools what is the plan if somebody were to get sick? Is there a contingency? I know there is some work being done by the Emerson community, but what does that kind of look like? What kind of assurances can students see?
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, as I said, safety is our number one concern. And the way we provide a safe environment is to ensure that everyone who works, lives, or studies here abides by these safety protocols. Then you reduce your risk to 1 or 2%, just doing those things. And in fact, if we had done that early on in the process, in the evolution of this virus, the nation, it would have been a very different outcome. So we want to make sure that students, when they are on campus, engage in those activities. We want to de-densify the campus, which that means is reducing the population on the campus in all of our spaces, in our dining rooms, in our residence halls, in our office spaces, and in the classrooms. So for instance, a 80-person classroom, to de-densify it, will become a classroom, say, for 35 students as opposed to 80 students. We are trying to make our very vertical campus as horizontal as possible. So right now, the plan is to have all of our academic programs on the first 4 floors above ground and in the subground places. Probably 8 out of 10 of our staff will not return in the fall term to campus. They can continue to work remotely, and we'll situate students in our residence halls in a way that is de-densified. And of course, there's testing. I mean, testing is huge. And so we'll have baseline testing for everyone. We will repeat that testing at some intervals, not yet decided how often we will do that. We will have what's called surveillance testing, which is sort of a group testing. And you don't test everyone, but you test certain groups to see if the virus is evident in that group, which allows you to extrapolate the probability that the virus is in the college. We're setting aside the Paramount for quarantine. I think there's over 200 beds there. And so for students who, in fact, are ill or who think that they're ill, will have to go to the Paramount and be quarantined for 2 weeks, which means rather than going to classes, they'll have to get their class content online. So those are some of the things that we're doing. And I think finally, we're going to ask students to take a pledge, because none of this will work if students don't pledge to maintain the face mask, the social distancing, washing hands, wiping down surfaces outside of their residence halls, outside of their classrooms, outside of the social spaces. It would be crazy to think the students aren't going to, it would be crazy to think they're going to be quarantined, within our campus. That's not going to happen. But there are ways that they can mitigate safety and ensure safety if they keep to these routines when they're outside.
What do you think will be the hardest thing for Emerson community members to have to adjust to in this new COVID-19 normal?
Well, everything will look different. I'll give you some examples. So when you go into classrooms, you'll be in an assigned seat. And so that's because, and everybody will have an assigned seat for that class throughout the term. And the reason is that if someone gets sick, then rather than having to do contact tracing for the entire class, you just do contact tracing for those who are seating within, proximate to those seats. When you go to the dining hall, it will be de-densified. And so you have to take your masks off to eat, obviously, but it will be fewer students in the dining hall at one time. It may be that we'll have to alternate. Some students on a particular hour, you pick up your lunch, you take it to go. Another hour, you can go and sit in the dining hall. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it is going to look and feel different. We probably will ask students to use the stairs more than we have in the past. Again, we're trying to flatten it as much as possible. And the stairs will be one way, This staircase you go up, the other staircase on the other part of the hall you go down. Only a certain number of students will be allowed, or anybody, into elevators at a particular time. So it will look and feel different. And I know that students and even their parents are really eager to come back to the campus, and I'm really eager to have them here. But we're going to have to understand that it will feel different. And then back to the other issue, here's what I believe. I believe that students can, as a community, kind of exert a kind of culture of safe and healthy for each other. It's really on all of us to make this work, not a single person. And we're not only looking out for the health and safety of ourselves, individuals, but of our friends and colleagues and so on.
Yeah. I know that Emerson College, we're lucky, I would say, because we have a smaller community that we can kind of work with, but we're, I would say, unlucky, in my opinion, lucky, but unlucky in the fact that we are such in the middle of the city. It's going to be tempting to go out there and do all these things. That being said, where do you see Emerson College after this? Can you see a school with so many arts programs and things that are contingent on large group environments rebound when the industries are going to be in tough situations? Obviously, you can't predict the future, but this is a community of students that relies a lot on community engagement and working together. And now that's been kind of disrupted. That's become a difficult challenge. I know a lot of people are doing a lot of work right now on their BFA projects and things like that, and making a lot of really incredible ideas on ways to make these things work. What do you think is kind of the drive behind that, and where do you think we can go with it?
Well, listen, I believe we're a creative community. And I believe in our capacity to be creative and innovative to solve these problems. It will look different. It will feel different. And there are certain departments where, the challenges are greater than others. If you're in the performing arts department, where it's so much on, face-to-face and emotive, explosive, talking where you got all those molecules in the air, and we're going to have to figure out a way to mitigate. In fact, we already have figured out a way to mitigate that. And you can get a lot of learning done, but it will just be, it'll look and feel different than it does now.
Yeah. All right. Well, campus is definitely going to look different, and hopefully we can find a safe middle ground for all of us to be back and doing what we love again. Is there anything else you want to either say to the Emerson community or the community at large that you think is something we should be working towards, working together on? Any last words?
Two things. One is we have a second pandemic, and that is pandemic around racial injustice in this country and racial disparities that have existed for a very, very long time. And I hope that all of us are engaged in doing what we can do individually and with organizations and friends and our families to play our part in addressing these structural structural gaps and barriers and racism in our country. So I want to say that. The other thing I want to say is I can't wait for you to be back. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to students being back on campus.
And we're looking forward to being back. Well, thank you very much, President Pelton. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, take care. Thank you very much.
Each week, we highlight somebody who's doing something great for their community. We call it our Community Corner, and this week, we're shining a light on Emerson College lacrosse player Austin Franklin and his campaign to replay his final college season and raise money for the One Love organization.
I'm Austin Franklin. I am a college lacrosse player who lost his season to coronavirus, and for the past couple of months, I have been replaying my college athletic career on NCAA Football 11, the video game, as a way to try and raise some money for the One Love Foundation. The One Love Foundation was founded on behalf of Yeardley Love, a Virginia women's lacrosse player who lost her life to relationship violence. So I'm trying to raise money for the One Love Foundation, who educates young people on healthy relationships and the warning signs of unhealthy ones.
So how does the actual process work? So you play games on a regular basis and you stream them?
Yes. So I've been streaming them on my Instagram Live, and every game I play, I invite a different one of my friends on who's also a college athlete or a former college athlete. So I've had some of my teammates on at Emerson. I've had some friends from high school, and then I'm hoping to reach out to more people and get people who, maybe I don't necessarily know. So far, from a fundraising standpoint, we've raised $655, which I'm pretty proud of, which is a lot, and it's going to a great cause. So I'd say that's a pretty big achievement so far, is raising that much money. And then just from like a fun standpoint, it's just fun to go on and talk with, my friends, and people get into the Instagram Live and type funny stuff in the chat, and like will chirp me if I'm not playing well. So it's fun. And I've had, some really good athletes on as well. So it's pretty cool.
Why NFL Madden 11?
So I believe the only college video games are basketball and football. So I picked football because I played football in high school. I never played basketball. And I'm not very good at the basketball video game either. I'm all right at the football one, so I felt like I'd go with the football one.
Awesome. Well, it's a great cause. It's really awesome. What are some ways that people can help you out reach your goal?
So if you go to my Instagram bio, I have a GoFundMe fundraising page. And if you're able, I know these are obviously very difficult times, but if you're able, donate. And if you're not, either share one of my videos or stop by an Instagram Live. I have somebody on, and you can find all this information on my Instagram page, and that's at Hey It's Franklin 2, Hay, as in hey for horses, not hey how you doing, Hay, It's Franklin 2.
And we'll have all that info down in the comments below. So thank you so much for taking the time today, and good luck with your fundraising.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. And
Thanks
for having me on, and I love the show. So keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like Austin said, if you can, donate to the link below and follow along with the rest of the season on his Instagram Live. Leave your topics, questions, and stories in the comments below. We'll take them all. I'm Sam Willinger with the Upbeat. See you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and be kind.